Hey guys, welcome to another top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 of my favorite PlayStation 5 video games so far. Yes, the PlayStation 5 has now been out for what? It's almost 4 years now, and we've had some quality games for the PS5 right now. And I've been on a PlayStation kick. I've just been gaming. I've been doing more gaming than movie watching and stuff. So a lot of the videos that are going to be pumped out now are going to be more like video game related. I only saw one movie in the past 2 weeks and stuff. So, but I wanted to talk about the PS5. Yes, when the PS5, when the console generation is over, I'll do a whole tier ranking of every single game I've played. But for now, I'm just going to talk about my personal favorites, the games that for this generation so far that have just meant something to me, and they just something about these games, they just hit well with me, and they brought my love to gaming back. Well, the PS4 I think mostly did that because I fell out of love for video games after the PS2, and the PS4 really kind of brought me, but the PS5 brought it even bigger. So let's get to it. This is my top 10, my personal favorite PS5 games. Can't stress that enough. Coming at number 10 is God of War Ragnarok that came out a couple of years ago. A huge God of War fan. I love the series. Back in the PS2 days, they were really fun hack and slash, gory, adventure, action, fantasy games. And Kratos was just a badass. And then the 2018 God of War came out, and it was just like, hey, let's actually make Kratos a real character, and I'm making a father-son story about him and his son Atreus. And the 2018 God of War was amazing. Just a beautiful story, great action. The world was amazing. I loved the 2018 God of War. And I still think the 2018 God of War is a dash better than Ragnarok. However, Ragnarok is a phenomenal game. The mechanics, they add so much more different mechanics. You actually get to play as Atreus in this, and he gets his whole story and the stuff where he's going to different worlds and dealing with Odin and all that. And we get just more Norse gods. We get a really cool Thor, played by Ryan Hurst, and all the stuff dealing with the conflicts of Atreus being either Atreus or Loki is just interesting. The father-son dynamics is really good. Kratos has a really good arc at the end. There's a lot of sad moments. There's actually real stakes and character deaths in this, and it's just such a fantastic story with beautiful visuals and just fun gameplay. I loved God of War Ragnarok, and I can't wait for the third God of War game, and it'll probably end the story, but just what they've done with Kratos and his story, and they just changed his character so much, and I love it. I love it. I know maybe some God of War purists maybe don't love the more soft Kratos, but Kratos is still ruthless and a fucking badass, but Kratos is also he's more likable and he's more human, and I just love it. Christopher Judge is amazing as Kratos too. Love God of War Ragnarok. It's one of my favorite PS5 games. All right, coming at number 9 is Hades. Hades is a roguelite dungeon crawler game. This is one of the most addictive games I played on the PS5. This is such a great game. I don't play games usually like this. I don't play a lot of roguelite games. I've played the Spelunky games, but that's really it. And Hades seemed a little too difficult. I don't do difficult video games, or at least I don't try. That's why I suck at Soulsborne games, which is gonna be hilarious because there's a Souls-like game on this list, but that's the exception, not the rule. But Hades, I loved. It was super addictive. Playing as the son of Hades and going through all the rounds and trying to escape, the underworld, escape Tartarus and all that. It's just so good. It basically, one run through is 45 minutes, and you're constantly dying, but you're constantly learning through the game mechanics and strengthening your character and just going through the motions and learning more about the story, learning more about your mother Persephone, and maybe Hades himself isn't that bad of a father and isn't that bad of a god. And you get to see more of the gods and Aphrodite and Zeus and get their point of views of Hades, and just it's such a great story, and visually it's fantastic. It's probably got one of my all-time favorite soundtracks in any game I've played on the PS5. The soundtrack is banger. It's so good, and just like the 45 hours I played just flew by. I'm just having a blast with this game, and I still will consider it one of the best like roguelites I've ever played, even though I'm not very familiar with roguelikes. But Hades, incredible. So good. All right, number 8 is It Takes Two. It Takes Two is a great story about a couple that is trying to work on their relationship. It is so good. It's basically from the makers of A Way Out, which was a phenomenal game. It Takes Two is just such a great story. It's about relationships and it's about partnerships. And that's the way you got to play the game. Playing the game is a 2-player couch co-op. You can do it online, but it's mostly a co-op game. You're playing as the husband and wife, going through these different worlds and realms and learning and fixing your relationship. But I love it because it tackles so many genres. You think it's like a 3D platformer, then it's a 2D platformer, then it's a dungeon crawler, and then it's a first-person shoot or third-person shooter, and just it just tackles so many different gaming genres, and it's all just about this couple trying to fix their relationship, and they go on this incredible journey with each other, and it's just such a beautiful story. It's just such a fun game. It's got such great characters, and I absolutely loved this game, and I can see why it won Game of the Year. Number 7 is the game I was rooting for Game of the Year that year, and that was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I loved It Takes Two. It was so good. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was maybe a little bit better for me. I loved it. And I love Ratchet and Clank, so I'm a fan of the franchise of Ratchet and Clank. So Rift Apart was so good. The game mechanics and how it introduces a lot of the new PS5 game mechanics into a Ratchet and Clank game is so good. And they introduced a new character, Ribbit, and she's awesome. I was a little worried that they're bringing in a new main character that isn't Ratchet or Clank, and it was a new, basically a female Ratchet. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but she's great. She's a fantastic character. She's almost more interesting than Ratchet is. But yeah, her story, her journey, I just loved it. And just the new weapons and the new worlds you go through, the way they're doing the warping through the different realms. So fucking awesome. And it was just delightful to go back into the world of Ratchet and Clank, and I think we just need more Ratchet and Clank games, and just Rift Apart was pure joy for me to play, and just absolutely love it. Another one that was pure joy was my number 6, and then Stray. Stray is the indie game of, like, the decade. Stray, I love Stray so much. You basically play as a cat in a post-apocalyptic world, and all the humans are gone, and it's just this cat and all these robots. And you basically are making your way through this, like, big city that's closed off. And as this cat, you're exploring what happened to the human race, what happened to the world, and what happened to just intelligence and stuff. It's such a great game. You get to play as this cat and this little robot. Was it BD1, I think the little robot's name is? And you get to learn more about the little robot and what the robot did. And just, it's so good. It's only like a 3-hour game, but man, does it stick with you with its beautiful visuals, great atmosphere, and just sheer charm and likability. And just it has so much lore and depth to it. And just, it was so magnificent. And every time I play Stray, I've played it twice now, and it always floors me, and I just fucking loved it. And yeah, more games about cats, please. All right, number 5. Number 5 is no shock. It's Final Fantasy VII Remake. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is solid. It's so good. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII, everyone knows Final Fantasy VII is my all-time favorite video game, so a full-blown remake, I was skeptical, but it did not disappoint me, though. Like, even though I was skeptical, it was great. It exceeded my expectations. It changes the story, but not too much for it to be, like, disrespectful to the material. It focuses more on characters from Avalanche, like Jesse Biggs and Wedge, and gives us a little more depth with Aerith and Cloud's relationship. And it is just the Midgar story, which is interesting that they just made a whole game about the Midgar story. But hey, I still loved it. Still dug it. I still like it a little more than Rebirth. I thought Rebirth was solid. I thought it was a great sequel to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just liked Remake a little more. I just thought it was a little more fun, and the changes they made, I really enjoyed and stuff. Rebirth, I don't really have as much issues. I just had more fun with the remake, and yeah, for me, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of my favorite PS5 games. Never thought I'd say that, but it is. Number 4 is Sea of Stars. I loved this game. This was one of my favorite games of last year. This and another game. I loved it, loved it, loved it. This is like an old school PS1 JRPG. I was just hooked from the beginning when this came out for the PS Plus. I love the characters, love the world, love the combat, love the story, the mythos, and just I want a sequel so bad to Sea of Stars. I don't know if we'll get it, but man, I love that this was like a funded game that the fans basically funded, and this is a game for the fans. Fans of old school JRPGs, this is what this game was made for. And I loved it. I absolutely adored it. I thought it had really good visuals for its time, for what it's trying to do for its time. It came out last year, but for what it's trying to do, it's beautiful to look at, and it just put me back to like 1998 on my couch playing some cool old school JRPGs. I loved Sea of Stars, and the moment I stopped playing it, I wanted to play it again and just start a new game, and I still haven't done that yet, but maybe in the future. Number 3, Harry Potter fan, so Hogwarts Legacy, of course, is number 3. Loved Hogwarts Legacy, despite the crazy controversy and the stupid fake hate it got. It's a magnificent game. It's an amazing open world of the land of Hogwarts. All it needed was Quidditch to be perfect, but, that's fine. We all, as a kid, as Harry Potter fans, dreamed of going to Hogwarts, and this game brought that dream to life. Us going to Hogwarts, picking our house, going to class, and solving what the fuck is going on with some of these students. I loved this game. I loved it so much. I love that it takes place before the Harry Potter movies. This is during the Goblin War and stuff. With the what the fuck's the Goblin's name again? I forgot his name again. I forget it. Sorry, it's been a bit, but I loved it. I loved the Goblin stuff. It was great. The story with Sebastian was probably the best part. The side quests were great. Going to classes, doing the stuff with the broomstick matches. I loved it. I loved this game. I loved the combat. It was just so fluid. Visually, it was beautiful, and it created Hogwarts. It literally is a game that is Hogwarts, and what else could you ask for? Number 2. All right, number 2. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the only exception that I can play a Soulsborne game. I played Dark Souls. I can't do it. I suck at them. And yes, I got carried a lot through this game because I did play with another player, but I loved this game. I thought this, gameplay-wise, this is the greatest gameplay on the PS5. If you want to play a PS5 game, play Elden Ring. This has got some of the greatest gameplay, greatest open world you will see. All these side characters and worlds and crazy shit. This is how you can design your character. It is so out there and so fantastic. The gameplay is just so good. It flows so beautifully, and I loved it. I loved this game. There is a story, there is a narrative, but what really makes it so good is how it's directed and how it's visually portrayed, and the game mechanics is some of the greatest game mechanics you will probably see again on the PlayStation 5, so I had to put Elden Ring at number 2 because, well, it's fucking amazing. So, alright, number 1, Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is my favorite game of the PS5 generation, and it is probably top 10 of my favorite games of all time. I loved this game. This is a phenomenal samurai story. The character Jin is an awesome protagonist, and the journey you go on, the decisions you have to make. Oh, what a great game. beautiful visuals. The way they do the fast travel mechanics is probably the best. The side quests is probably the best side quests in any game I played in years. I love the side stuff. Even the collectibles. I know some people hate collectibles in games, but the collectibles in this game were fun. Finding the flags and stuff and going to the hot springs. I loved it. The samurai fighting mechanics was amazing. The way you could do the slow-mo and cutting the people was fucking sick. I loved it. The different costumes that you can pick out. Yeah, I loved this game so much. And to me, it's the best game of the PS5 generation. But who knows? Maybe a game will beat it out. Highly doubt it, but maybe. So yeah, that was my top 10 my favorite PS5 games. Let me know in the comments below what is your favorite game on the PlayStation 5. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.